Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first of many weekly Velocity of Money University podcasts. I'm really excited we're going to do this every Wednesday, I believe at 1 o'clock. Some of us, sometimes we might sprinkle in a 6 o'clock for people that are working. And I'm going to have some special guests, some people that are successful in what they do. And today, I want to introduce Thomas Mosera to you from Keller Williams in Clifton. And we're going to talk about what he's done to be successful as a real estate investor and also as a realtor. So, Tom, thanks for coming. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Frank.
No problem. He's recently lost like 80 pounds, so he's all shredded now and ready to do a workout with you after work.
Absolutely.
So before we begin, before I start asking him some questions, I want to talk about mindset. So for some of you that are familiar with what I do, I've been in the mortgage business for 20 years. I've written over $1 billion in loans. And about 4 years ago, we created a seminar called the Velocity of Money that taught people that it's a blueprint to become a real estate millionaire. And everybody thinks that they need to buy 10 properties, 20 properties. But the magic number is really 3, right? So the slogan is use the bank's money to buy the property and use the tenant's money to pay off the property. So now what we're doing is we're charging a coaching fee to train people how to be real estate millionaires. And I'm really excited about that because it's like anything else. If the information's free, right, what are you gonna put into it? If you go to the gym with the whole like no pain, no gain thing, then you're gonna get more out of it because you're working hard to get there. So Tommy and his group came from, I would say David, right, in a traditional Keller office, but David Leong is a mega real estate investor, right? So with mindset, right, what do people, half the people I see, and you might see the same thing, Tom, they don't think they can buy real estate. They might own a single family or a condo, or they might be renting, and they may not even think that it's possible for them to be a real estate investor, right? So the first thing I want to talk to everybody about is, number one, everybody could do it. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely.
And number two, the other thing I talk about a lot is people are like, I have bad credit. You don't have bad credit. You have bad habits. You have a habit that says, I pay my bills late or I ignore a collection. So first thing we have to do is we have to improve people's psychology. And then we have to get them to the point where they have a mechanical way to get to where we want to help them go. In my case, I'm like, hey, it's 3 properties. So tell me, maybe you guys are going to be amazed at this, but he's really been only doing this as a real estate investor for what, 14 months?
Yeah, 14 months now.
Tell me where your mindset was 14 or 15 months ago, and then we'll fast forward to where your mindset is today.
So when I came into the business 3 years ago as a real estate agent from a restaurant and chef background. So I've always owned my own business. So I definitely came into the game with a business mindset. That's first and foremost. And that's the first thing I talk to real estate agents about that are my mentees and things like that is, what do you want out of the business? If you like the commission-based business, single family homes, great. That's all fine. And you'll make a lot of money doing it if you work hard. What I was looking at it as, more as an entrepreneur, how do I grow this and streamline this business into multiple streams of income? Because you see a lot of people, they'll do different things. They'll drive Uber, or they'll go, deliver Amazon. They'll be, sell stuff on Amazon. But I always looked at it as, there's a better way to do this. If I could have 5 streams of income in the same business I'm in, that makes sense to me because all of my focus is on one thing. So I used to hear David talking a lot about the investor side of the business within our office while I was there because I was a full-time agent, banging away at the phones, doing what I had to do. So I sat with him and I was like, I want something more. I like the real estate agent business. It's great. You make good money. It's a great stream. But that's one stream. Now, what else could I do? So we started talking about how he invests in real estate. And there's a lot, like you said, a lot of different ways to do it. So I started coaching with him, and he started teaching me the different ways to go about doing this. You don't, it's not the traditional way where you say, okay, I want to buy this 3 family house. I need to put 25% down. Great. You do one. You do two. How many of those $40,000, $50,000 could you put down before your business can't sustain itself?
Yeah, you run out of money.
You run out of money. So there's a lot of different ways, and we get very creative when it comes to that. And that's why we coach with people, because some of my best clients are under 25.
Right.
They don't have anything, to lose. Number one, they have good credit, and young people these days, like, people discount them saying that they're lazy, they're this. They just don't realize how much money they make.
Mm-hmm.
These younger people that are coming out of college, they're not coming out getting $40,000 a year jobs. You get somebody with an engineering background, you could be upwards of $150,000, $200,000 a year that they're making at their jobs.
Yeah.
So we talk to them about not leaving their jobs, keeping their credit, well established, and then start investing with us in a lot of different ways. So that's kind of how I looked at this business. And then just the natural progression of what came along with that, the property management, the wholesaling, the just selling my own deals. So I'm able to, work as a real estate agent, and on one deal could see many different streams just off of that one deal too.
Yeah, so that's incredible. Let's talk about that in a second, because that's a whole nother thing. But let's back up to, when did we meet? Was it a year ago or 2 years ago?
About a year and a half ago, I walked into your seminar, and
Yes.
I heard about it. I heard about what you were doing, and I came in to lead generate. I came in to meet people,
Yeah.
and to see who I could work with. And then you started talking, and I was like, well, this is exactly what David has been coaching me on, but I do it on the real estate level. You do it on the money level. And I was like knocking people down to get to you after you stopped talking, because I was like, there's no way I'm leaving here. This is the only conversation I need to have, because we need to communicate.
Yeah, and it was funny because it was like instant synergy, and that's exactly what you said to me was, man, you're doing the same thing we're doing. You're on the mortgage side, right, and teaching people about real estate, and we're on the real estate side, and, teaching people how to figure out deals. So for anybody that hasn't come to any of my seminars or heard me speak, right, we've created a couple cool products that show first-time homebuyers how to buy a 3-family, a 2-family, and then a 1-family, or potentially a few single families, all by living in the properties for 1 year or whatever at a time. But you guys have created some creative ways, and what Tommy said before about multiple streams of income is very valuable to the realtor community that we're training, right? So I've created a university of coaching, not only for end users that want to learn how to become real estate millionaires, but for realtors who want to be certified in the velocity of money. And you guys take it another step further, because what he just said is so valuable to the realtors, because what happens is not only are you guys finding deals and potentially becoming a real estate investor, you might have gotten a distressed property that you guys fixed up, but now you also could bring the buyer into a property that might be a little bit of a discount to the buyer because you guys are the ones that invested in it. So you're really like uber entrepreneurial in your attempt to take a property and help people get into the property. Or it could even be, hey, I'll get an investor or two that wants to be involved in long-term real estate and go in on that with them.
Yeah. So we look at it in two ways. With our clients that want, you have the 3-2-1 done. We had a five unit plan. So what we were doing initially when we were coaching our clients was, buy a 4-unit FHA, after a year, refi out, go to a 3-unit FHA, and so on and so forth until they're in their single family home. They own 4 other properties, and everything is being paid by the rent and then some. So our main case study was someone, her name will say Annie. Annie has 5 units right now. She's 30 years old. She makes $4,000 a month, and she lives in her single family for free. So that's one type of client that we have. And when everything is paid off, and she still kept her job, she makes $55,000 a year. Her husband works for PSE&G, makes $80,000 a year. They're putting money into their 401k. But when they both retire, they're going to have a $3.5 million portfolio that's fully paid for, that's making them $12,000 a year, and they're going to have $1 million in their annuity because of PSE&G.
Amen.
And she has making 50,000. So that's one type of client that I work with. But the other type, like you said, is the investor. And there's a lot of investors, people will say we're looking for passive income. That's what we want. Well, there is no such thing as passive income. We talk about getting leveraged income. That's how David teaches me. How do we do that? How do we get leveraged income? And the way we look at leveraged income is, I have a big piece of this. I find the deals, I property manage, I project manage, I do all of that. You want to come in the deal as an investor, you have money. Okay, so let's partner. We're both bringing something valuable to the table.
Yep.
So and everybody earns off of that. Essentially, I earn commission off of that. I earn, flip income off of that. I earn, rental income off of that. And it makes sense for the investor too. So that's what I try to teach a lot of my investors is, work with me and don't let me just give you a property. I could give you a property. Here, I'll go on the MLS. I'll find a 3-family. It cash flows. Here you go. Now figure it out. That's where the stigma of being a landlord really comes into play, because you don't know how to be a landlord.
Yeah.
When we talk, David has 320 doors right now that he built over 9 years. Of those 320 doors, this last year, we've had to make arrangements with 3 tenants for payment of their rent. That's it.
Right.
Because he knows how to be a landlord. He's teaching us how to be property managers, so that we are helping you in that sense. It's not an easy job.
Yeah.
So, earn leveraged income with me, and we could go far. Because then there's all the other products out there that we don't even need to talk about. On the finance side, whether it be hard money, private money, things like that. But essentially, these are the 2 types of people that I work with, and I focused my entire business now on it, instead of solely focusing on residential, which I still do. I still have buyers. I still have listings. I still have mentees in my office because I'm a Keller Williams agent, so we have a mentor program. So we're still doing all of that. So now I just turned an agent business with one stream of income into a business with multiple streams of income that have a team behind it. We have transaction coordinators. I have a partner. John Kim is my partner. My mentees are turning into partners, and we're growing it as a business now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And we're gonna wait to the end to tell them how many doors you have right now. That's going to be the punchline. But one of the things that is so important that people don't understand, because we're sort of in an instant gratification society, right, is the power and the leverage of using the bank's money to buy the property and using the tenant's money to pay off the property. And one of the things I teach in my coaching is that, I love this example because our minds are not Excel spreadsheets. And so here's the question. If we had $36,000 in rent today on a 2-unit house, whatever, what would that rent be in 20 years at 2.5% inflation? So it grows year over year. 36,000 today in rent. What would that be 20 years from now? So the answer is $52,000. Now, the answer in 30 years is $63,000. So not only is it wise to buy real estate now, but think about this for a second. In any business, if you have a steady level of overhead and a rising level of revenue, right? The rising level of revenue is your rent, but what stays the same? The 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, then we teach yield, which shows people how to evaluate a property based on cash flow, right? And if it has the cash flow, there'll be enough not only to pay it off in 20 years or 15 years, but also to put $400 to $500, for example, a month away in case the property needs repairs. So one of the things that was a problem for me is I trained thousands of people through my seminars over the last couple of years, and they couldn't find the houses. So they're like, the 3-family, the 2-family, the 1-family is great, but if they can't find the house, what good is it? So that's why I partnered up with you guys and some other strategic realtors who helped find the inventory, right? Because it is kind of like a buying frenzy. Like people are buying sometimes for the wrong reasons. There's money coming out of, different areas. So we have to be smart. But the beauty of the yield calculation is that you can't lose, right? Because if you look at a spreadsheet and it says 7% yield, don't look at it. Like I have a percentage that I teach people that makes a property worthy of it. So, and everybody I find starts by thinking they're going to flip. And I'm not saying flipping's bad. I'm just saying flipping is sort of half like analyst and half construction. Like you have to know your construction costs. But one thing I do teach, and you guys have done it, is you take the property you could potentially flip, right? But then turn it into a long-term rental. Why? Because you're buying it a little distressed or it needs work. Then you're fixing it. Then you guys go and decide, all right, do John and I want this for ourselves? Does David want this? Do we want to give this to one of our investors or do we want to sell it retail, right? So that property is representing a few different potential tranches when you buy it. But you guys are doing the sort of dirty work, right? The legwork to create that inventory, which otherwise looks like it's not there, which is brilliant and very hard for most people to understand unless you're like you or I and in that business.
Sure. Because people don't know how to, generate, things out of air. And that's what we're essentially doing. You were even doing it on the money side because people don't take into account there's an after improved value. So it's all about buying it right. And if you're buying it right and your after improved value is enough, we always try to get to that point where if we're working with someone that's, again, talking about a flip, and then we start doing the numbers. And if we look at a deal and it's like, well, if we refi this after on the ARV, you're getting all of your money back. Maybe you have $2,000 left in the deal. Why do you want to sell it? Mm-hmm. No one has any money in the deal. Mm-hmm. And now, like you said, the tenant is paying it off. So there's no reason to sell those, And then on top of it, if I'm property managing it, you really don't have anything to worry about other than reading some reports, because that's what we end up doing. So that's why it's really important to work with people that understand this, because we could creatively create these deals that make a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's funny because I talk in the seminars and the coaching about doing things in other states, because sometimes if the yield's not there and the cash flow's not there, we might be like, it's not a great deal in Passaic County, New Jersey right now. Where else? But then I cringe because I don't ever want to upset my realtor partners like, hey, you're taking my buyer out of here or whatever. But look, people in New York and New Jersey make money. People are going to live in New York and New Jersey. But we can also help them invest in places like college towns, maybe Florida, maybe the Southwest, because if you go back to yield, it's all about what are you making on the money you invested and what's your yearly cash flow. And then I created this thing called the Power Four, which shows sort of 4 quadrants of analyzing the real estate in order, 1 being the most important, and then 2, 3, 4. But the thing is, people don't realize that all we need to do is find the right 3 to 4 properties, get them paid off in 15 or 20 years using the tenant's money, and there's our retirement. Because I believe America has a problem, a big problem. The problem is retirement. But the answer is the government is very generous with mortgages. I mean, they really are. Like people say to me, is it hard to get loans? I'm like, no, it's not actually. Like if you look at the debt to income ratio formula that we follow to get somebody a loan, it's actually very flexible. Now, if they're not working, how could you borrow money from someone if you don't have the ability to pay it back? So it's a little bit of a psychology. But then, you guys are kind of doing the same thing I am, where we're looking at other areas in the country just because we're saying, look, there's plenty of real estate deals in New Jersey. There's plenty of expensive rental areas. So even though pricing's higher now, that's the beauty of my program, is that you could buy in a retail market. Why? Because the rents are always going to outpace inflation. So just because a 3-family house might be $700,000, that doesn't bother me. If that $700,000 brings in $5,000 and the mortgage is $4,000, that's a wonderful property. And this is another paradigm shift for people. we all come from the Depression sort of psychology in America from 1929, and everyone's afraid of debt. I agree. Credit card debt, bad. Things like that, bad. But mortgage debt, if used properly, right, is actually good debt. So think about this. Would you rather have a tenant pay off a $100,000 property for you? So at the end, it's worth 100, or would you rather have them pay off a $700,000 debt for you? So at the end, it's worth 700. People don't look at it that way. I've had people who've come to my seminars and looked at $500,000 properties and then went into the middle of Pennsylvania and bought a property for $42,000 that makes $183 a month rent roll. And I'm like, that's horrible. You're going to lose money. You're going to deal with something 3.5 hours away. You don't need the $183. As a matter of fact, when you pay that off and it's worth 40 grand, that's not much of an asset. So it's psychology. So let's get to your psychology. You're an agent. You go to David and say, I want to get involved. And then you and John Kim really developed an awesome system, which I'm uber impressed with. And what changed in your mentality that said, okay, I need to also own real estate versus just sell real estate?
Well, that was basically one of David's criteria, is to be coached by him. You know, you have to own. You can't just sell. That's like, you know, cooking pizza and saying, I don't eat Italian food. You know, like how are you going to honestly tell somebody to get involved in real estate if you're not involved yourself? Yeah. And that was, you have to be greedy and you have to be selfish and you have to know that your portfolio is very important, because, you know, I look at it as I have my plan. I know what my numbers need to be. I know the time frame that it needs to be in. But that was one of David's criteria. You want to work with me? Great. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to work you through everything. How many properties are you buying?
Yeah.
That was his first question. How many do you want this year?
Yeah.
You know, when I first started talking to him back in December of 19, I was like, okay, for 2020, I want one.
Yeah.
Okay, you want one property. What is it? I said a 3-family. I want one 3-family property. No problem. That's your goal. Put it on paper. That's what we're going to do. So you're going to have 3 doors at the end of 2020. Yes. Fantastic. And that's what we work towards, you know, and it was always like, what are you going to do to get there? How are you going to do it? You need to raise capital. You need to find deals. So it was always that process of, you know, the 2 big pieces of the equation is find the deal and find the cash to do it.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 things. And it doesn't matter where you look for it. Look for it on the MLS. We go on the hot sheets every day and look at deals, because there's money. There's cash flowing properties on the MLS. Maybe not today so much, because the market is just so nuts in northern New Jersey that, you know, things are just went through the roof, but you could still find some.
Yeah.
You know? And but for the most part, we find our stuff off market.
So you said something very important. David said, find the deal, then find the money. So what a lot of people do in society is, you know, you got a lot of business planners. You got a lot of people who will call me and want to pick my brain, and they overthink things. And they sit there and they analyze for 10 years, and they wake up and they're 42 years old and they're no further along in retirement because they never took action, right? So one of the things I was blessed with early, you know, I was kind of like a German Shepherd puppy. Like, I didn't really care. Like, I got into the business world after playing minor league baseball, and I kind of just took my football and baseball approach to business. Like, I just said, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to worry about it later. So, you know, my wife and I are the opposite. She'll analyze and be like, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to run through the wall. And if I don't get a concussion, I'll just keep running. But what that allowed me to do in the mid 90s was, you know, by the time I was 30 years old, I had 5 properties that I owned as long-term rental. I wasn't even in the mortgage business. I didn't know what FHA was. I called up somebody I heard that was in the mortgage business. I said, can you get me a loan? He said, I think so. So I basically prayed for 6 weeks to get the loan, and it came, right? We didn't know what we were doing. Then my uncle actually talked me into doing a refi, because I owned the first property with my uncle. And he talked me into a 15-year fixed. And like at my seminars, I'm like, hold on. You always take a 30 and you pay it off in 15. I like the paying it off in 15. But in any business, right, you want the most possible cash flow and the least overhead. So you take the better overhead, which is the 30-year mortgage, and then you pay it off early. So the point is that, you know, you just have to go do it. When people come to my coaching program, and we're going to talk about how we're going to connect our coaching programs. When people come to my coaching program, the plan, if I personally coach somebody, is you are going to buy a property within the first 6 months. Now, they have to apply for my coaching program because if they have a 520 credit score, no job and no money, I can't help them right now. We'll allow them to do the video coaching, which is the least expensive, just to learn mentally. But physically, if they want me to coach them, I need them to be able to take action, right? So what David explained to you, you just did, right? Like you just kind of had that football player mentality as well, and you just took action. That doesn't mean you just buy anything, right? You have to learn the tools. You have to learn what a good deal is, which is where we come in. But once you see that deal, we know in this market you got to strike,
Sure.
right? So that's important. So, you know, on a lighter note, I make a joke about the first-time homebuyers. You send me a lead, I pre-approve them. They're pre-approved up to $400,000, and they call me up and go, "Hey, I think I'm going to bid on this house. I'm going to bid 360." And I'm like, "Okay, you're not going to get the house, right?" And then we should do a cartoon. And then like 7 bids later, they call up and they're like, "It's listed for 400. I think I'm going to bid 460," right? Because the market corrects itself to the point where it's overbidding. Now, I think you would agree, as a real estate expert, that obviously the corridor or the circumference around New York City in New Jersey, Bergen County, a lot of Passaic County, Morris, Essex, Union are more expensive. And then as you get to Middlesex, Somerset, Mercer, it gets less expensive. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to look just in Bergen County if you want to buy a 3-family to live in. There could be areas that are less expensive an hour away. So, you know, it is an incredible state. And then obviously if we go across the water to all the boroughs, it's like multifamily heaven. So there are deals. It's just a matter of getting good at what you do to find the deals. But I think you would agree that you need people like you and I, not only to teach, coach, and mentor, but then help find deals.
Of course, because that's going to be the hardest part of the deal, to be quite honest. Once you have the deal, money is not hard. It's the lowest hanging fruit, the money. Because when you have something substantial, where you could say, here it is, I need X amount of dollars. Easy. If you say, give me X amount of dollars and then I'm going to find where to put it. Well, you don't have anything. So what do you want me to give you?
Right.
So that makes it very difficult. But when you're dangling that deal and those numbers and you're showing that pro forma and you're saying, this is what we're looking at, much easier for people to go in their pockets and write that check and get involved because they can see it.
Yeah.
As long as they trust you. That's another really big part of this business is there's got to be that level of trust. I don't go out there as a salesman. I don't try to sell this. I just talk about my story. I talk about what I did. You want to get involved? Great. If you don't, I'm going to continue to go. I'm going to continue to pad my portfolio. Whether you jump on board with me or not, that's up to you, and that's fine too. If that's what you want to do, like I tell my mentees, you want to do rentals, great. You're happy doing rentals. That's what you should focus on. Focus on what you're happy with.
Yeah.
My focus was very clear and defined. I need to have a portfolio. Last year, it was very defined.
Yeah.
I need to find that one property that I'm going to be involved in it myself.
It's awesome. So we all played Monopoly as a kid, right? Yeah. And I was terrible at it because I didn't have the right psychology. I was like, wait, I don't understand. I'm talking to my mother. Ma, if I have $100, I don't understand the concept of taking 20 of it and buying a building, right? But that's really still to this day. Now I got it after a while because I think I always lost, and I was pissed off because I'm competitive. I'm like I'm losing to my grandmother right now in Monopoly. But the thing is, like, it's a simple premise. People don't get it. If you give $100,000 to a financial planner, that financial planner earns you 5%. That money's making you $5,000 a year. But with $100,000, if you're a first-time home buyer, we can get you $1.5 million worth of real estate. Now, $1.5 million worth of real estate, if that real estate went up $5,000, 5%, that would be like $75,000 in value that it went up. And I'm not even playing the appreciation game. That's actually the fourth of my power four. But the point is, it's understanding the power and the leverage of the bank's money. When rates are at 3 to 4% on either owner occupied or investment properties, and recently that's gone up a little bit. It was in the twos a month ago. Like, that's why Donald Trump became president, because he understood the power and the leverage of banks' money, which you guys clearly understand, which is what I'm teaching on a national level. Because once people realize that same 100,000 you have in a 401k ain't getting you there in retirement, but it could get you $1 million or more worth of real estate.
Sure. Hey, listen, you need all vehicles. Like I have a Roth IRA, I'll invest in it, I'll do things like that. But when I look at buying a stock, and you talked about this in your seminar back then, like, okay, you want to buy Microsoft, great, pay for it. I want to buy a house, great, give me a down payment.
Right.
They're two very different things. And then I'm getting rent roll, you're getting a dividend.
Yeah.
But how much, how many shares do you have to buy? How much money do you have to tie up to see an $800 a month dividend?
Sure.
It's in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Well, I'm telling you, invest 50, 60,000, maybe 70, and you're going to see 800 a month coming in. And we're not talking about appreciation. We're not talking about the value of the house. We're not talking about the fact that the tenant is paying down that asset.
Yep.
You're paying down Microsoft, and you're not getting any more unless you roll that money right back in. See, that's the difference. I'm not telling you to roll that money unless you want to pay it down quicker. Yeah, some of my clients, let's roll all the rent right back into the property, so maybe we can get it paid off in 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you take Microsoft and that dividend and you roll that dividend back, you're getting pennies.
Yeah.
And you're not building that as in the same fashion as I'm building it with real estate, and that's what people really need to understand.
Yeah, it doesn't compete. It's not even close. Real estate's by far the most powerful. And here's the thing, like, and there's a balance of, in my opinion, you keep some cash flow out for a rainy day, you keep some cash flow out for the next property. So there's a formula we teach people on that. But the thing is, it's how do you take the formula? Nobody has the end game in mind. Even me, at 25 years old, when I bought my first property, I didn't have an end game. I was just winging it, right? What we do is we take you to the end game. Here's how you look in 20 years. You're going to have $1.8 million in real estate paid off. You're going to have 12 to 15,000 a month in cash flow. How do you feel about your life in 20 years? If you're sitting in my room right now and you say to yourself, where's my 401k? Where's my savings? What am I making? What am I doing? Like, none of us want to be on a treadmill without an end goal in mind. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you that end goal, and we're going to take action for the mechanics to get you there. Mm-hmm. It takes discipline, but it's not that hard. So let's get to the punchline. So now it's 14 months later. Tell everybody how many doors you currently own.
So I ended up closing on my first property in May of 2020. And currently I have 41 doors in my portfolio, and I have under contract another 30 doors.
Wow. Another 30.
Another 30 under contract that I'm looking at my board. So I'm trying to figure out what we have under contract. So
you better get another board. That thing's going to fall off the wall. That's incredible.
We really work hard at, finding deals and doing what we need to do. But, and everything, just so everybody knows, I partner with that. I'd much rather own a piece of something than all of nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to partner with people that trust me and know what we're going for. Of all the 41 doors, I think there's only one property that I own outright myself. But other than that, I'll take a piece of all of this, because I could grow I couldn't grow to 70 doors in a year.
Right.
On my own, with my doing it just myself, just no matter what, even hard money, this, that, there's just too many. It would be too many deals, and nobody would work with me solely individually. So I have a big group of people that I work with, and I continuously grow that group. And that's who I look to work with, people that want to get involved and have a lot of doors. Like One of my partners, he's like I said, he's 23 years old. He has, of those 41, 10 of the doors are his.
Amazing.
He started at the same time. Kid's 23.
Amazing.
So
It takes mindset and then a little bit of guts, and then confidence comes through success, right? But you gotta get out of the starting gate. Like when the horses go through the starting gate, they push to get through, right? And then it starts to build momentum from there. So as we wind down, I want to let everybody know that we're partnering up with our coaching program. And if anybody who's uber impressed with what Tommy has done, which I clearly am, we are going to partner up and help you. Tommy has offered to help coach some people as well with their results only coaching program, right? So it's a perfect combination of me coaching and mentoring people how to get the loans, how to become a real estate beast. You guys will coach them on your real estate side, and together we can help people. It's not even a matter of, oh, can I get myself 3-4 properties? It's a done deal. As long as you have a job and you have a little bit of seed money and a little bit of credit score, and even if you don't have seed money, the first property that you live in, if it's a 3-family, for example, can be a gift from mom and dad. And I'm not sure if all the realtors realize this, but if you're a realtor, you can actually use your real estate commissions towards the down payment. And that's legit on the loan that we do. So think about that if you're a realtor. I'm buying my own property. My down payment's $12,000. My commission's $8,000. You could be in a property for $4,000 that you live in, that the tenants pay for you, and you live in for free. Why not every realtor is doing this? I don't know. I mean, I do know.
Take it one step further, though. If you are the real estate agent and you find an off-market property, nobody's telling you can't put $15,000 on that, and then pay for it completely, because you could do that with your commission. So who's better than you? Now you're definitely getting into a property for free.
Yeah, 100%. Well, this has been awesome. We had like this kind of synergy after 10 seconds of knowing each other, and we're just speaking the same language. Probably because I would like to be a chef, and you are a chef. I just practice with my kids at home, but and then I tell them that I'm the best cook ever, and sometimes they don't agree. But how does everybody get in touch with you?
So you can reach out to me. My email is tommy@resultsonly.net. It's very easy. I'm always on there. I'm always answering emails. If you have any questions about what we talked about, I'm more than happy to discuss partnership agreements, how we could work together. If you're interested in doing this on a full-time level and you want to be an agent, we could bring you in as an agent, and you train that way. That's how my mentees come in. Like they came in as investors. Now they're becoming agents. They're becoming mentees, so that we're teaching them the agent business, and then they're going to put that education to work in the investor side, and then they could get involved with results only. So
that's great.
Resultsonly.net. That's where you get me.
And we're also doing a realtor certification for Velocity of Money. So what we're going to do is I'm going to offer training to the realtors that I believe in, because if I speak yield, power for, amortization, depreciation, and the realtor doesn't understand that language, then the realtor can't help my clients who I've trained. So we're certifying realtors so that they can speak our language, and then we're giving them back to the territories they work in for our buyers. So I love that. So if you see the email at the bottom, hello@thevelocityofmoney.com. If you want to do a one-on-one Zoom with me, or if you want more information on our next seminar, we're doing the third week of every month at noon on a Thursday. We do for realtors. We introduce Velocity Money for our realtor community. And then we hope that they get excited and they bring their buyers the following week, which is also Thursday at noon in the fourth week of the month. So Tommy and I are going to be out there. We're buying properties. You're selling properties. I'm financing properties. We have many clients that we've already done together in the short time that we've known each other. And we'd love to be able to help as many people as possible, because it's all about giving back and sharing the education that we've already learned through what we do. So thank you for coming today. And anybody who wants to reach out to him, we'd love to be able to help you.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right, brother. See you soon.
Take care.
All right, bye.